present myself. My name is Radu Vunvulea. I'm based in Cluj-Napoca, a city from Transylvania, Romania. In most of the cases, when the audience is not from Central Europe, I would say that I'm from the Dracula region, but you already know where it is, Romania, and we are very close. And my talk is particularly relevant for those of you who not only work in IT, but you are considering doing any kind of OCR or image-to-text recognition, and you're looking for something that is cheap or even free, and you will see exactly what I'm meaning by free. You like to be able to identify what you have on different images, what kind of text, and so on, and to find different ways how you like to design, how you like to build the system. Now, before going forward, there's a quote that I really like it from Gandhi: "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." Nowadays, we have, at least from the IT point of view, a lot of services, a lot of products on the market. If we are just looking at the cloud service providers that we have available and we can access them very easily. In most of the cases, Google Cloud, AWS, Microsoft Azure, most of them have more than 300 different services that we can use. IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, FaaS, CaaS, and so on. There are a lot of services that we can use. It is up to us to decide how we want to use the technology, how we want to combine and mix different services to resolve our day-to-day needs, our business needs, or the things that we would like to achieve. Now, we need to take into account that the future is a blend, especially if we are talking about cloud, non-cloud, AI, the ML part, the application layer. I don't expect to see a world in 5 or 10 years that is only driven by specific technology, only by a specific cloud vendor. At the moment in time when we are thinking that we have a monopoly, for example, with a specific operating system and like that, something disturbs the market. And here is a very good example, are the Android operating system on the phones. If we would took a look on 20 years ago, we would say, oh, Nokia with their own operating system. Or 15 years ago, you would say, oh, the most business ones are BlackBerry, or I don't know exactly the name of the company that I don't think that exists in the same way as we know today. Or, for example, Windows CE. Nowadays, on the phone, we have only iPhones or Android, but in 5 years, we'll not know exactly where we'll be, what kind of things we'll have on it. So the future is a blend, and software as a service, especially in the AI and ML area, I will say that are a very good investment because you can get a lot of traction very, very easily. Now, some interesting statistics that I would like to show. How important is AI and ML nowadays? And it's pretty weird. So, for example, if you take into consideration that based on different studies, around 60% of people prefer to message a chatbot versus to talk with a human when they are communicating, for example, with a bank or with online shop and so on. That's pretty shocking. But this is a very good number to understand exactly where we are, what market is looking for. In 2021, basically last year, 80% of emerging technologies already use AI foundation, more or less. And search, I would say that is the current goal. It's not the data. 5 years ago, you would say if you have data, data is the gold mine. I would say if you have the search capability to look in that data, to look on the data that's available on the market, it is the gold mine. And different search capabilities that we were not able to do even 2 or 3 years ago now are mainstream. Nowadays, to do a query on 1 terabyte of data in, let's say, in text, in CSV, in JSON, XML, you name it, it's possible. You can do it. You just need the horsepower behind the scene, but still, you already have the technologies, the tools that would enable to do this. Before 2020, I think in September 2019, I was doing a business trip in Colombia, visiting 2 of the locations where we have offices. Endava, that's a company that I worked in 2019 and I'm still working for as group head of cloud, have offices all around the globe in different countries, and one of them is Colombia. I was visiting, as I said, Bogota and Medellin. And what was interesting is that in Bogota, when I was visiting the office and having some meetings with my local colleagues, I met a woman called Christina. I met her. We had a small talk with the rest of the team. After that, each of us went on their own meeting stream and the other kind of activities. 3 days later, I was flying and I was in Medellin office. And I was surprised that I met Christina again. And guess what? In Medellin, I found out that she was also from Romania. She was also from Cluj-Napoca, the city where I'm based in. She was working in the same building as me on just a different level. She was on the financial audit team. I was on the technical team. And I said, that's pretty strange to don't be aware of that somebody from the same city, from the same country where you're based in, is visiting a bit or is doing a business trip in the same location where you go. The funny thing that both of us were leaving Romania and were returning back in the same day with just different flight operator and different hours. I said, okay, what we could do, what we can do to be aware of what is happening. The most simple thing, as you would expect, would be to have a system that is easy to build, that would be able to process the tickets, airplane ticket, train tickets, you name it, to be able to know exactly who is traveling to the same location where you go, or maybe who will be in the airport at the same time when you are. It is pretty good to know, maybe to socialize it like that. But before going forward, I'm just curious that I'm showing a picture that I've done by myself from Medellin. But I know that because of different Netflix movies, we have maybe not the best image of the city. And one second, I think that we should be aware that cities, for example, like Medellin, and to tell you the truth, I was impressed, at least the downtown, the business downtown looks the same as any other business district from US. So it's not only the things that we are seeing on the movies. Now, let's come back to our main topic, Azure Form Recognizer. Now, what we can do to process the tickets. And there are some challenges that we need to be aware at this moment in time. The biggest challenge is that depending on the flight operator, depending on the agency, and each country might use a different agency, you will not receive in the same format, in the same content in the same time. Sometimes you are receiving text, email, or attachment as a text. Sometimes you're receiving PDFs, or even images with some tickets and so on. And you need to be able to process, you need to be able to do OCR to extract the data that you're looking for. And in the end, because you want to have an internal and easy to use system, you don't have risks. You don't want to invest, for example, 200 man days to be able to do that. So what else we could do? Now, the mission is pretty simple, but there are some challenges because even if you have on a text paper or in a PDF format all the information, you might have different hops. So you might have a connection flight, for example, from Cluj to Munich, Munich to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Bogota, or to Chicago, or to Canada. And this means that you will have multiple pages that you need to be able to process. Also, there are sometimes people are flying and on the same ticket, they have, for example, 2 or 3 days when they will stay. For example, from Cluj, they go to London, they stay 3 days from a business trip, and from there they would fly to New York or to Berlin and so on. So you need to take all this into consideration. And to be able to do that, we need to consider different things. How we would do this without a form recognizer? Well, this could be done, and this could be built using computer vision, like OCR system. At this moment in time on the market, we have pretty good OCR system, but we need to install them. We need to know exactly what their limitations, and also we need to ensure that they understand and are able to extract a key value pairs. Because, for example, you might want to say, like we have in the picture, look on the data that you're extracting, and all the time in the field destination from the database or for the object that you are building, give me the end destination. So the solution that you're building should be able to identify exactly where is the destination on that ticket and to be able to find this. Another solution that we have on the market is Form Recognizer, and this is what I would like to talk about today. Now, if I'm talking about Form Recognizer, what Form Recognizer gives us? Simple extraction, seamless, meaning that you just provide the document, the image, and automatically it will extract content from there. You can do customization result, and we will drill in Form Recognizer Studio. That I would say that is the most simple way when you can train the model that you would like to use, and after this to just do the API calls through .NET, Java, Python, PHP, JavaScript, you name it, to be able to process the document. You have flexible deployments, and what I like on flexible deployment is not only Azure. Form recognition Form Recognizer comes in a way as a Docker image. You can run it anywhere, on-prem, on your own machine, on your own on-prem infrastructure, on AWS, on Azure, on Alibaba, anywhere. You just need the capability to run a Docker. And it already has a built-in security. And the most important built-in security, I would say, the transportation layer that all the time is secure, and the strong integration with role-based access control and with Azure AD that is allowing us to have that security layer that is required by most of the organization, or when you want to have the system used in an airport, or to be able to run without any kind of issue when you are in a financial institution and things like that. Now, one thing that I really like, and I will just jump, is here. I don't know how many of you has the opportunity to work on an OCR system, but what is the most impressive thing on Form Recognizer, especially because it's coming out of the shelf, is the capability to extract information from a paper or from a picture that is in display. It's not perfect. And I know a colleague of mine that has a team of 5 people that is working for another product from another customer, and they are working from 2018 to do optimization of all the vectors to be able to identify how the picture is made to be able to extract this data. And just to show to you that is more than that, let's go in Azure Form Recognizer Studio. And we have here three out-of-the-shelf three types of ways how we can extract data: read, layout, and general documents. For now, we go with the general document, and let's upload a picture that I took 2 weeks ago after a business trip from Cluj to Timișoara. As you can see, there are the tickets for the guests, and they are not perfect. Form Recognizer by default, without doing any kind of training, so you can do the call through API from CLI and so on, is able to identify and to extract most of the data that you see there, and also to do the labeling. Now, as you can see, and let me zoom a little bit, now we've done a general document processing, and what we've tried to do, we tried to do the labeling, key value pair. So for example, here, this is the identification number of the company that sold me gas, and this is the key code fiscal, and the local Romanian identification of that company. You will still see the confidence level, and this is very important. The confidence level is give us the information about what is the value of the confidence, usually between 0 and 1 or 0 and 100%. And usually you should define a threshold. For example, if you accept that everything is more than 0.8 or more than 80%, it is acceptable. You don't need a human interaction or a human check there. Now, why Form Recognizer? As you can see, there's some errors there, because in most of the cases, you don't provide 2 or 3 different documents in the same paper. But in this case, you've done it pretty well. But what I want to show to you, even if the paper was not perfect, he still was able to extract and to read all the information in a key value way. I would say the most relevant exception or things where he was not able to read is this one, where we have the key and the value is over there. But still, if you look on the confidence level, what we can see, confidence level is only 0.27 or 27%. So you shouldn't trust the output. But here, for example, the total VAT and other things are better or less. Let's go back and let's do just a layout for the same image. I hope that I will not have this problem. Let's give it one more. I just reloaded. Let's hope that it will work as expected. If not, we'll go forward. Okay, perfect. Let's upload the same picture. I really like this example because it's not perfect and it is not a standard one that Microsoft is providing to us. So again, we don't have a custom ML training behind the scene. And over here, he's done a pretty good job, because when you're analyzing this as a layout, the more focus is, for example, when you have layouts like a book or classical documents where you have just text, basically different paragraphs. And basically here is just extracting the paragraph themselves. Okay, so from the models point of view, we have 2 different models. We have the pre-built one that you can see on the right side, where we have pre-built for receipts, for V3 document, for invoice, for ID document, business cards. But also I would say that the pre-built models was pretty good also for other cases. As we were able to see, the read, layout, and general document also works for any other type of document. So you need just to give it a try to see that for the text that you would like to process, if it is extracting the content in the expected output, or you need to train the model by yourself. From the custom models point of view, you need to provide 5 samples. not 100, not 1000, only 5, for which you will do the model training, and we'll take a look at in a few minutes how we are doing this. After that, we can save the model. We can even combine different models. And after that, we would do the analyze of a receipt or any other kind of documents. We can do clustering, we can play, and we can also associate keys with value, because for example, in the document that we will play with, and like this one, we don't need all the information that can be extracted from here. We will just need a few items. So we will do the labeling in such a way to extract only the information that it is relevant for us, and the rest of them we'll ignore it. We don't need to process. We have two types of models, of custom models. The first one is custom, where you just do the training, and the second one is the compost model, where basically it's a collection of custom models that you can assign and to use for a single model. So you can use a specific model. For example, when you extract, for example, the information related to the air, to the location, to the departure and destination, location, time, and so on. But maybe you would like to have another model that would identify if somebody have a layover for 2 or 3 days. So you can play, and you can have a compost one that would combine all of them. Now, where it runs. As I said, software as a service, part of cognitive services. You just spin up the instance, as I'm doing here under Form Recognizer. So you just go on Form Recognizer from the Azure portal. You create a new instance. I'm doing the jump 5 minutes from now, but I just want to specify one important thing about the tier. Let me jump over here. Oh, I have another location where I can show it to you. So from the tiers point of view, we have 2 important tiers that are important for us. The first one is free tier, that is allowing us to process 500 page for free per month. There's one limitation. This is why I've switched to standard one. On the free tier, you can do 1 page per minute. So for example, during this demo, when I was showing you that I was processing 2 or 3 different images and documents, we would need to wait 1 minute. So I said that, okay, for this demo, I switched to the standard one, where we have 42 euros per 1,000 pages. I know some companies, and there are a few of them in Romania, that are using the free tier from the business point of view, and things go pretty good. Or as a Docker container. Now, pricing, as I said, free up to 500 pages. For pre-built models, like, for example, ID, invoices, receipts, W2 document, it is $10 for 100 pages. For custom models, that when you're doing the training, is $50 for 1,000 pages. Now, one more thing. If you go with a Docker container approach, please consider that most of the cases, the container itself, the service that would run inside your cluster, would need to be able to access Azure, the Azure backend, Microsoft Azure backend, to be able to send information related to how many pages were processed and so on. Nevertheless, if you need that Docker container to not have access directly to the internet, maybe it's running in the airport or in a very controlled environment, in this case, you can contact Microsoft and Form Recognizer team, and they can give you codes and running costs of having the Form Recognizer fully isolated from the rest of the world. Okay, So one more thing before going forward that is pretty important. When, for example, you are processing a document like this, we have a PDF with 2 images, as you can see. Image number 1, page number 1, page number 2. We need to consider that we will pay for 2 pages. So if we go back on the free tier, you have 500 pages. If you process a PDF with 2 pages, you will consume 2 of 400 of your 500 pages code that you have per month. So be aware of this, especially when you are processing PDFs, because you can upload and you can process 2 types of document in Form Recognizer, PDFs or images. This is why, if you're talking about the blueprint and how the solution should look like, and if, for example, we would use Form Recognizer and Power Automate Suite, we would listen to emails that we are receiving from agencies that are used to be able to book flights, maybe to book trains and so on. And when a new email is received from that specific agency or to a specific group, because in most of the cases, each organization has a specific email group for where all the tickets, all the communication with different agencies are sent. It would trigger automatically a conversion of the email and all the attachments to PDF. Why to PDF? If you remember, Form Recognizer can only process images and PDFs, and the most safest ways is to PDF. You would call Form Recognizer that would extract the data and will take a look on the labeling in a few minutes. You would extract the relevant information that are for you, the name of the person, the destination, the flights, and the date. Would push back to the Power Automate the response, and after that you could do an automatical match with the storage with the other people that would travel, and you can send a notification through email, through a bot from Teams, Slack, or whatever you are using internally in the company. What we don't cover, but we should be aware of, is about from the legal, from GDPR point of view, if you are allowing to do that. But we are just talking now from the technical point of view. We don't go on the legal side. That's another story with another group of people that might be interested in or would like to find more, and to send the notification to the people. Now, as I said at the beginning, we can communicate with Form Recognizer through an API, through a REST API, and you have libraries, and very good libraries for .NET, for Java, for Python, for JavaScript. Now, what I would highly recommend you, when doing the training, use Form Recognizer Studio. I think that this is the best way how you can do the training or to play with the. As you can see, we have here all the previous models, and in the last few weeks from the moment when I've done the last update of the presentation, they updated and add the vaccination cards for US and the health insurance card. So they're adding new ones, and also for identity documents. Please be aware of that it's not only for local US IDs, also works very well for passports. Now, what we will focus today is on the custom model. And on the custom model, you can see here that I have 3 that are already defined. We have the airplane ticket custom invoice and the airplane ticket 2022. And let's play with this one. So we already have a pre-built model. If we would start from scratch, and let's start from scratch, and let's create a new project. When you create a new project, you need to enter the project name. Let's say UA 2022 demo session, and let's give it continue. Subscription, hope that I'm using the right one. Let's exactly, I'm trying to use this one again. This group RV Form Recognizer. RV Form Recognizer. We can already use the pre-existing instance, and this is what I wanted to show to you. Also the API. So basically you can have only one instance inside Azure as Form Recognizer, but to have multiple models. Somebody in the past asked me a few months ago how many models you can have in the same instance. So we're talking about hundreds of models. So it's not only 10, 5, or 15. And after that, we need to specify the training data source. And when we're talking about training data source, what is referring to is that when you're working with Form Recognizer, beside the Form Recognizer itself, you need to use a storage. And that storage, it is used to upload the documents that you need to be able to process it. Because, for example, if you are in a Form Studio, in the Form Recognizer Studio that we are using today, you will see that you have the interface, the user interface, where you upload a picture of a PDF. That PDF of picture is uploaded automatically to your storage, from where Form Recognizer would automatically process it. Automatically, what Form Recognizer done, automatically identified that in the folder that I specify in the path in Form Recognizer, I already had these seven documents where I already done some labeling that he would recommend to be able to do. The original departure location, original departure time, destination arrival time. Let's play a little bit. Let's, for example, see what kind of meal, and I want just to show to you how this label, how you would expect this label. So we have the field. In our case, let's say meal type. And here, the nice part is that you just need to specify on a specific area of each document that would represent the meal time. Also, you've seen that I also have a label for destination arriving time. We can also do the same. So let's go on the third one. We have the destination. Let's also put the meal type. On the fourth one, this one would be the meal type, and this one combined with this one and combined with this one, we have the destination arrival time. Same meal type and destination arrival time. And let's take this one where we have the meal type and arriving time. Also for this one, we don't have a labeling. If we would like, we can have also the departure time and so on. Now we have we need to train the model. We just do train model. We need to specify a model ID 2022 model 1. Okay, and the build one, if we want to use a template or neural, let's go on the template. And what it will do, it will do automatic training of the model based on the 5 inputs that we specified. What I really like by the studio is that just a few minutes, you can do the matching between the key value and you decide exactly what is the relevant information for you. After that, you do the training. And once it is trained, you will see that it will be available here. It will take a few minutes. It shouldn't take too much. After it will train, I just want to show to you something more. This is I've done, I think in 2019 in September with one of the students from a local university that I work with. In 2019, we didn't have a Form Recognizer Studio. So together with him, we built a JavaScript application that was automatically doing the labeling that was creating by Form Recognizer just to help us on this. And what was the output from the 29 keys that were identified? 28 was a very good matching, and after until it will train it. Let's, for example, go with the general document, and this is what I want to show to you, because wrong one. Let's choose a file, because automatically so he can extract different information and to be able to process them. As for example, in this case, we are doing the analyze for T1, and we'll extract similar one that we are seeing here. Now, if you want to do the training model from the CLI, from a command line, there's something that I wanted to mention and to make you aware of. A very important input that you need to have it in a Notepad++ or somebody note it is the name of the instance of Form Recognizer, the full name, meaning the one that you will find it here. On overview, there will be a combination between Azure Form Recognizer plus Cognitive Services Azure.com. Also, the OCM API subscription key that can be extracted also from key and endpoint. Also, this one is very important. Also, from the key and endpoints, you can also get the endpoint when it's needed. So key is very, very important to be able to do different kind of requests. And also you need to have all the time the Azure storage configured for the one that you would use to push and to provide input to Form Recognizer. When you, for example, doing the process of different models, like the model that we were playing a few minutes ago, also you will have a model ID. This model ID needs to be used all the time when you need to do the processing, when you want to get the results. And if you're doing the training through the CLI or through any other commands, ensure that you are checking that the status for each document that you are processing is success. If you're in the Form Recognizer, like we are now, things are much simpler because you will see on the browser. Also, keep in mind that Form Recognizer Studio is something that is persistent, so you will not lose it if you close the browser or you come back after a few months or even I would say a few years, because you have the model that you train and that are the most important one. You have the Azure storage where you have the input and the output of the content that you process, so everything is on you. So this is processing and doing a key value without doing any kind of training. It is not perfect, but still without having or without helping Form Recognizer, we have, for example, departure and the arrival destination that was extracted very well. He was not able, for example, to extract the time because we don't have a label, a key for that item. But for item where we have keys, the content is extracted very nice. Now let's jump back to our custom model. Let's hope that it's already finished. Okay, it's already finished, and let's do a test. Now the test can be done from a browser, but again, you can do it from C#, from .NET, from any other system. Let's add the file. When you add the file, take into account that will be uploaded to the blog that we specified. And now we are running the analysis on top of that using the model that we already trained. So what he was able to do, original departure location was extracted with success, departure time, meal type, and arrival. The results in the JSON format give us a little bit more information, like for example, information related to where it is located, different items. And here, please consider it's not only the things that you label, but basically all the text that was extracted. For each of them, you have the polygon information, where it is located, what is the confidence level. And also you can filter it to see just the one that you are looking for. Plus, depending on what type of programming language you are using, let's say that you're a Python power user, you can see exactly what is the code that you need to run to be able to analyze on the model that you're using. So you already have everything in place. This is why I said we should start with Form Recognizer Studio and just integrate it once we have the model trained in our system, in our application. And you can, and from here, you can just copy paste the code and use it inside your solution. Okay, so we talked about confidence level. In conclusion, before jumping with the text that I prepared, I highly recommend you to do, especially when you have an idea and you want to do it by yourself, from the AI, from the ML system, make some time. Take a look on what Microsoft Azure is doing on cognitive services and try to see if you already can find a system that is pre-built, offered out of the shelf that could help you. Even if it's Azure, even if it's Microsoft, most cognitive services and AI ML capabilities can run on-prem as a Docker image. And that's a very good starting point. So what does Azure Form Recognizer give us? Out-of-the-box form recognition, no customization required. You can use SEs, as I showed to you a few seconds ago. If, for example, we jump to the general document and to the document that I uploaded, pay-per-use, even if on a dedicated tier like the one I'm using now, I'm paying per number of pages that I processed, not per month, per hour, and that's pretty good. The price that you're paying if you're running inside as a Docker container on your on-prem locations is a little bit cheaper. It's very simple to train, support multiple formats, offer a software as a service, and the most important thing, you have the form recognizer studio that can be used to do the training, to play around, to understand how you can use it, and basically to identify if that model that you are training and the combination of the model is extracting the data that you are looking from a paper, from the images that you are looking for, and so on. Now is the perfect time if you have questions, and during the questions, or if you want to ask me something, if you want to contact me later on, I highly recommend you to give me a ping on LinkedIn. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn or on Twitter, and just drop me an email on my personal email. So perfect time for questions.
Thank you, Radu, for your presentation. Yeah, so guys, maybe someone have questions?
I have one question. If I can ask in voice, what problem in in real life you can resolve? For example, this application maybe in work in airport or in other places, and we can use we can join another system and using like application and like system in airport and real-time scanning, for example. Do you use in practice case like this?
Yes. So the question was, what are the best use cases when it should be used, and how we are using and how can be used. As the name says, is form recognizer, meaning that it works very well when you need to extract the context, text, numbers, figures, things like that, for documents, or from images where you have documents or a specific template that is more or less similar, or you can have that labeling key value pair. For example, when you're scanning in an airport, you might not have all the time. Nowadays we have, but not all the time you have the code bars, and you would like to extract this information. Or for example, especially in mainstream systems, you are not receiving documents in the same format. So you need to be able to extract the information that you are looking from these documents that are in, for example, in PDF formats. For example, invoices. If you're a global company, you'll find out that each country, even in Europe, has different ways how an invoice is generated or bill. These are the perfect use cases where you can use form recognizer. So you need a way that are very constant, but you shouldn't use form recognizer. For example, if you're thinking to be able to do an OCR system, to be able to identify what is the plate name of a car, or what is written, for example, on a suitcase, something like that. That are other services that should be used for. So it goes very well when more or less, even if it's an image or a PDF, you have a document that was a picture of a document or in a PDF format document. What I found it useful is for example, if you are working for an audit system that is on an audit company that is receiving invoices and bills for a company that is audited in different formats, PDF, Word document, images, and so on. And during the audit, you need to extract different information, the value, which was the vendor, when was done the payment, how the payment was done, anything like that. And because there are a lot of formats and they are not constant, and most of the cases they will not have a backend system and everything is in place, form recognizer can do very well the job to be able to extract the key value pair the information that you're looking for. When, how much, for what was the money spent.
Thank you. Maybe someone have more questions? Guys, don't be shy. It's a good opportunity to answer speaker in real time. Here is a question in chat. Documents processing is a great case. For example, we have cases in Czechia and Slovakia where they have been using Forms Recognizer to process requests from business when they have been submitting documents for compensation related to COVID lockdown. Invoices processing is another one used broadly. Yes. So guys, more questions?
Also, feel free to reach me out anytime through LinkedIn if you would like to have a chat with me, especially on Microsoft Azure technologies and tools and different ways how you can use it. I'm available on LinkedIn, I would say 12 hours per day, because I will receive a notification on my phone. And just an idea how you can use it. For example, if you would receive, let's imagine that you have a system, I don't know why, but you would receive, and let me share my screen because it would be more easily. Let's assume that you are receiving, I think, can you see also the chat window from Zoom? that I'm sharing. I hope that you can see it. So you have, for example, this kind of somebody wrote at a specific time, a specific content, maybe you are receiving from different sources, WhatsApp, Yahoo Messenger, Skype, you name it. Well, if you have it in a picture format, or you can do some print screen, Form Recognizer could be used to extract automatically and to redigitalize the content. Who sent that information to who, when, what was the content, and so on. So this is another idea where you could use it very, very easily. And behind the scene, the OCR system is using the technologies that are used also widely by cognitive services. Nobody asked me about what kind of languages are supported. And the languages that are by default supported are officially are English and Spanish, but also it will be able to process any kind of text from any kind of language. But for English and for Spanish, especially for pre-built ones, can do a better job because he would also understand exactly what kind of things are there. And also, I don't show in a demo, but it's more easily for it also able to specify what type of data, if it's a string, if it's an integer, a decimal, and so on. During this time, we had another question in the chat: which is cheaper, recognition in automatic mode or by person? So if we're talking about volumes, an automatical system like Form Recognizer, it is much faster. That would enable the person just to do the matching or the confirmation for the documents, where Form Recognizer had the confidence level lower than a threshold that you specified. And I had in the past the question related to what is the threshold. Personally, depending on the system, I highly recommend to be around 90% or 70%. These are the two values of thresholds that I used in the past pretty well. In financial sector, it's around 90. For social engineering stuff, it's around, you can go down to 70. Under 70, you need a better train of the model, or you would need to play a little bit with it. Yes, what you will see for all cognitive services, that they are adding a lot of new languages all the time. And Dutak share with us what are the official languages that are supported are English, French, German, Italian, Chinese, and so on. So it depends a lot on what kind of document you are processing and what you're doing with it.
Thank you for the presentation. What kind of deep learning frameworks do you use in this project and other Microsoft projects like PyTorch or custom one?
Rodion, could you repeat the question one more time, please?
Yeah, I said that what kind of deep learning frameworks do you use in these projects and other Microsoft PyTorch or something custom?
Okay, so the question was what kind of CI/CD systems are used in combination with Form Recognizer or with other services. When we're talking about Azure services, what I think that most of the customers are using Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps, all the flavors, including the pipelines, the ability to do tracking, and the strong integration with all the ecosystem that it is around Azure DevOps. Also, what I found that, especially in the past, in the last 6 months, I was not able to see this trend, is that also AWS customers were preferring to use Azure DevOps to do the pipeline, the automation pipelines. And related to building the infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure, I think that Terraform and Azure ARM are very close. It's 50-50, but Terraform has a better traction, I would say, especially because it has well support for other cloud service providers. Nevertheless, in most of the cases, you might do some tweaks for specific cases through CLI or through ARM. And Beecheps is here to stay, but we need to allow him a few months to be well supported by all services that Azure is providing and to have the full capability like ARM. If you remember in the past when ARM was replacing the CLI and the PowerShell way of building the Azure infrastructure, we had the same problem with ARM. It took, I think, 2 years and a half until it got that maturity level to cover, let's say, 90-95% of services and functionality that is available on Azure. What percent of error? Vitaly, could you extend the question? Form Recognizer or Azure DevOps?
Recognize.
Yeah, this depends on, so the question is, what are the number of or the percent of error in the Form Recognizer? If you do the training model well and documents that you're processing are having the same template or are part of the same templates that you have trained the model, I would say the number of error is very, very low, under 0.1% even. If you have in different formats, what you could do, you have the ability, for example, from the code or to play with Form Recognizer to, when the confidence level is pretty low, also to try to use different models. So for the same labels that you want to extract, you can have 2 or 3 models to try to use the first one. If the first one gives you a confidence level that is under 90% or under 0.9, then you can use the second model that you prepared to try to see if you get better confidence. But if you have similar documents as you have a trained model, I would say the number of errors is very, very low. So 1 per 1,000 pages / documents that were processed.
What deep learning frameworks do you use in your projects? So like PyTorch, TensorFlow, you have something custom in Microsoft?
Could you extend a bit, Alex, the question, because I don't understand exactly what you are referring to.
So I'm asking about yeah, I'm sorry. So I asked about frameworks, deep learning frameworks, and which are based on this OCR and other products, maybe. So which models do you use for this, for example, project? Yes, so like PyTorch, TensorFlow, maybe you have something custom.
Okay, so I can talk about what I've seen in the last 9-12 months, because the market is changing very fast. What I've seen that, at least from the OCR point of view, that are widely used in for larger organization, it is Form Recognizer. Also, there's another solution from Atalasoft, and also the OCR system that is provided by UiPath. UiPath also has a service called UiPath Document UCR or something like that. That I would say it's very, very similar to Form to form recognizer. And then there's some additional ones that are more open source, or let's say not so widely used in by large organization. And one of the one that I'm popping in my mind that has a pretty good support, especially from the language point of view. I think that they have support for around 70 or 80 different languages. It is Easy OCR that I was playing with.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and there's also the TR OCR that I was just looking, I think, a few weeks ago. It also has pretty interesting feature in the way how he decodes the content. And you have the ability to do small tweaks to the how he do the analyze of it.
Okay, maybe someone have more questions, guys?
I have one question, maybe last. If we change, if our document pattern when we need recognize or learning a change position in document, can we correct recognize this text?
Yeah, so the question was if the template that we are using when we are defining the model, if we have documents that the template is changing a little bit or have different variables, how we can include them and how we can handle that. First of all, Form Recognizer, it has the ability to be able to identify that. So Form Recognizer is not using the location in the document like other systems. This is why you have a key value. He will look for the key, like name and the name of the person, or airline name and things like that. And based on that, he will extract the key value or the information that you are looking. So it's not based on the position on the document, it's based on the label. So if the key and the value are having the same relative position, everything will be fine. If you are missing the key, then the value might not be correct. But as long as you have the key and value, and more or less somewhere in the document, Form Recognizer will be able to handle it pretty good. Not all the time perfectly. This is why you have the confidence level, and this is why you have the ability to combine 2 or 3 different models, and you can play with all of them when you are doing analyze on a specific document.
Thank you.
Okay, so it probably was the last questions.